بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So we stopped yesterday on the Sifat al-Khamisa, the fifth description or characteristic from Ibad al-Rahman, from the worshippers of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And tonight, inshallah, we do a sifa as-sadisa, the sixth description mentioned in those ayat, the verses from the end of Surah Al-Furqan. So Shaykh Abdul Razak, Hafidhahullah, he says, as-sifatu as-sadisa, bu'duhum an majalis al-batil wal-munkarat, that they stay away from gatherings that include evil speech and falsehood. Anything that is evil or any falsehood that is being discussed, that they don't involve themselves in the conversation. Allah said in the ayah, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. Those who don't give or they don't bear witness to az-zur, and he's going to explain what az-zur is. وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. And if they do come by one of these sittings, that they pass by the sittings with some dignity and that they don't involve themselves in those conversations. So Shaykh Abdul Razak, Hafidhahullah, he says, من أخلاق عباد الرحمن وجميل صفاتهم أنهم ينزهون أنفسهم عن حضور المجالس التي يعم فيها المنكر. From those characteristics of the worshippers of Allah is that they don't, or let's say that they honor themselves and they dignify themselves by not involving themselves in gatherings and sittings that contain evil. Any sitting or gathering that contains evil, an evil type of discussion, that they don't involve themselves in that sitting. He says, وَيَغْمُرُهَا الْبَاطِلُ وَاللَّغْوِ الْمُحَرَّمِ. And if those sittings contain a discussion something that is haram, a discussing something that is haram, or discussing something that is batil, it's false, it's not true, the information is not true, then they don't involve themselves in that type of conversation. So the statement of Allah Jalla wa Ala, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ, those who don't give witness to az-zur, he says, لَا يَحْضُرُونَ الزُّورَ وَالْبَاطِلِ. They don't stick around to listen to information that's not true, whether it be lies, or as he says, and he's going to explain further, وَلَا يُشَارِكُونَ أَهْلًا. And they don't involve themselves, they don't condone it, and they don't get in on that conversation. فَيَدْخُلُوا فِي الْآيَةِ السَّابِقَةِ. What is included in az-zur? What goes along with it? What is included in that speech that is, as he says, batil, falsehood, or az-zur, al-kadhib? He says, from the things that is included, that a person, the worshippers of Allah, that they stay away from, he says, al-majalis al-qa'ima al-ma'asi wal-atham. Sittings that in the sitting, that the conversation is based on something that is haram, disobedience to Allah. Kal-ghiba, like backbiting. So the conversation includes a group of people sitting around and they're backbiting someone else who's not there. Or, as he says, وَالنَّمِيمَةِ, the conversation includes a group of people and they're spreading something that could be a rumor. It's not true. It's not a true statement, and it's being spread. Namima, spreading rumors. Wasukhriya, or a conversation, and the people in the conversation are being, I forgot the word. What do we say? Say smart. You know, being smart. Sarcastic, yeah. Sarcastic, right? The conversation when people are being sarcastic, right? In order to, you know, make it difficult for the other person, or whatever the case may be. What istihza? A conversation where people are mocking and making fun of other people. What kadhib? Lies, if it's being lies told. If it's being lies told in that sitting. All of these things, he said, they fall under the ayat that, or they fall under the term azur. Azur. They fall under the term azur, where Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الظُّورَ. Those who do not bear witness to these things. So if they come to a sitting and there's backbiting going on, and sitting that they don't indulge and involve themselves in that sitting, and they don't condone it, and they don't involve themselves. Wasn't the meme of the same thing? Spreading rumors, sarcasm, and if it's just mocking people, whatever the case may be, lies, ghina, music, all of these things that they stay far away from. He says, وَالْفَوَاحِشَ الَّتِي تُعْرَضْ فِي الشَّاشَاتِ التلفاز. Or even if it's some evil that's on the TV, that they don't sit and bear witness to the evil and the haram that's on the TV screen, right? The evil and the haram that may be on the TV screen. وَأَجْهِزَةُ الْجَوَّالِ. Or some of the haram, they don't sit and use their cell phones to watch the haram or to witness the haram. He said this is one group of actions that enter into the term azur. All of those things, which is what? That is qa'ima al-ma'asi. All of these things are considered to be disobedience, from backbiting and slander to spreading rumors, lies, making istihza, mocking people. All of these things are haram, and they're considered to be disobedience. He said the second group or chapter or group of things that enter into azur, he says, وَيَدْخُلُ فِيهَا الْمَجَالِسِ الْقَائِمَةِ عَلَى التَّرْوِيجِ الْأَفْكَارِ الْمُنْحَرِفَةِ. Sittings that contain the spreading of thoughts and ideas that are far away from the Islamic teaching. Anything, وَالْآرَاءِ الْفَاسِدَةِ, anything that goes against the Islamic thought from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, munharif, that they strayed away from the Quran or from the Sunnah. If something like this is being promoted and propagated, that they don't enjoin and enter and promote and involve themselves in that type of speech. He says, وَالْأَعْمَالِ الْمُبْتَدِعَةِ مِنْ دُعَاةِ السُّوءِ وَالضَّلَالِ. And they don't encourage the a'mal al-mubtadi'ah, innovative matters that are not from the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, from evil callers who may call to misguidance. If that is the case, then they don't encourage it, they don't sit in the sitting, and they don't involve themselves in those sittings. طيب, he says also, وَيَدْخُلُ فِيهَا أَيْضًا السلام عليكم المجالس التي تقام فيها أعياد المشركين والمواسم التي يحتفلون فيها. And this is a point to take, that the Ibadah Rahman, that they don't sit and they don't attend the parties of the celebrations of the disbelievers. And those specific celebrations, especially when it comes to their holidays. When it comes to their holidays. And the reality is, there's no pressure on us, the believers. There's no pressure on us that we feel like we have to indulge in a holiday of the non-Muslims. There's no pressure on us because there's no pressure on them. Do they show up at their Eid? You see a bunch of non-Muslims showing up at their Eid, celebrating Eid? Well, so why do we feel like we got to show up at a Christmas party? I got to show my face. Or I got to show up at the Easter dinner. For what? To you, your religion, and to me, my religion. If that's what they do and that's how they celebrate, then that's on them. It doesn't necessitate that we have to attend, that we have to give the okay, that we have to show some type of, that's their deen, and if that's what they do, that's on them. Alright? Just like we have our religion, we have our deen, and what we do is what we do. So he says, فَيَحْرُمْ عَلَى الْمُسْلِمْ حُضُورُهَا. So it's not permissible for the Muslim to go to those type of events. وَتَهْنِيَتِهِمْ. Or to congratulate them. There's no way a Muslim says, Merry Christmas, or whatever, Easter, whatever holiday, their religious holidays. There's no way that the Muslim is allowed to do that. Oh, وَإِظْهَارُ الْفَرْحِ. Or that وَالسُّرُورِ biha, or that there's some joy when it comes to their holidays, as they have their holidays and the Muslims we have our own holidays. Happy anniversary. What do they mean by that? The reality is not changed by words. The reality is not changed by words. Right? It is what it is. Happy born day, happy anniversary, whatever you call it, you could change it and put whatever name you want to change on it. It doesn't remove the reality of what it is. And that's a qaida that the ulama use, that the name of something doesn't determine its reality all the time. Right? There are people who call themselves Muslims. Right? There's people who call themselves Muslims and they worship graves. They call themselves Muslims. There's people that call themselves Muslims, and they believe that Prophet Muhammad, right, was Allah. And they believe that, right? So it doesn't mean because you put a name on it that that's the reality of that thing. So if you want to dress it up and call it this and call it that, and Allah knows that it doesn't remove the reality. It's a birthday, it's a birthday. It is what it is. You can change the name, but it is what it is. A born day, anniversary, it is what it is. And the question is, why do we feel like, who feels like that they have to bend? Why? They don't bend for our stuff. Right? They don't bend for none of the Eids. Nobody's out here fasting for 30 days, not eating and drinking. No. You might try for a day or two and say, y'all got that. Right? Nobody's coming out in the middle of the night getting up to pray. Nobody's sacrificing none of that. Why we feel like that we got to bend because of what they do. What they doing, let them do what they do. To them, their religion, and for us, we have ours. So he says, all of those things are included in the ayah. All of those three categories are included in the ayah where it says, La yashhaduna, where Allah says, La yashhaduna zura, that they don't witness falsehood, that they don't go to those sittings of falsehood. And this is the reason, as he says, وَلِهَذَا تَنَوَّعَتْ عِبَارَاتِ السَّلَفِ الصَّالِحِ فِي بَيَانِ الْمَرَادِ بِالزُّورِ فِي الْآيَةِ. This is why the Salaf, we only got 1 minute left. This is why the Salaf, they had different interpretations of what the ayat means, of what the word azur, what is meant by azur, that they had different explanations for what it means. Some of them said falsehood. Some of them said that azur is shirk. Some of them said it's music, lying, and other things, as Imam al-Tabari, rahimahullah, mentioned in his tafsir. And then Allah said, if you were to walk by or come to one of these sittings, وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا, if you do come by one of these sittings, that you pass by and you don't involve yourself in it, فَهُمْ لَا يَخْشَوْنَهُمْ وَلَا يَأْتَوْنَ شَيْءٍ مِنْهَا قَصْدًا, that we don't go to those sittings intentionally. I'm going to go down here and we know what they're talking about. You might go somewhere and you get there, you sit down, and you find out that this is what they're doing. At that point, you should excuse yourself, and we'll stop there and get ready to break fast. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.